fourth down, that's an interception. In the end, it is the Seahawks winning by 6, and it was DK Metcalf who was very motivated last night.
The defensive coaches came up to me, and it kind of made me mad that he was like, I was in Detroit with Megatron, but you're not there yet. In my mind, I'm not trying to be Megatron. I'm trying to be me. So, had a little chip on my shoulder the whole game.
Yeah, bear in mind, the Eagles passed on him as well, and so the good calls today brought to you, as always, by Subway. Last night, a good call was throwing it in the direction of DK Metcalf. Again, connecting with Russell Wilson, 177 yards. All other Seattle receivers had 53 yards combined. Metcalf also became the fastest Seahawk to reach 1,000 receiving yards in a season by doing it in his 11th game. And let me bring Jeff and Greg in here. There's been so much talk this week about Tampa and their struggles. New Orleans, who basically played a non-game this weekend. Green Bay looked really good. Jeff Saturday, as you watch Seattle play, where do they rank for you amongst the NFC's elite?
Yeah, I put them third, and I put them behind Green Bay and New Orleans. Look, I like this football team. I think they stick to the KISS principle, right? Keep it simple, stupid. You saw, right? They saw man coverage against Metcalf. They're going to exploit it. I mean, I think they threw almost 50% of their passes to Metcalf or right under it. That's just an incredible stat when you think about, hey, we're just going to go take what they're giving us. Their run game came back with Carson coming back and getting healthy. It really helps this offense. The defense we know is the liability. Can they continue to progress to get better? Jamal Adams, I know he's blitzing and doing those kind of things, but can they hold serve for this team? If they can, I think they're the third best team right now in the NFC.
Jeff, how about that? How about you? Greg, NFC, big picture, how much do you like Seattle?
I had them as low as 5. Now I'm with Jeff, up to 3. And it's not because of their offensive prowess. We knew they could score points. The problem is they were turning the ball over a pretty ridiculous rate there for a little bit, including Russell Wilson making a lot of careless decisions. But more importantly, guys, they found something these last 10 quarters on the defensive side of the football. Ever since trading for Carlos Dunlap, that pass rush has been energized. It's a totally different looking group, and it feels as though at halftime against the Rams, they kind of turned the corner. Then they really put together a nice performance against the Arizona Cardinals. Then last night was as good as it gets on the defensive side of the football. So if you look, too, down the stretch, they might be favored in every game down the stretch. So there's a lot to like about what they're doing on both sides of the ball right now.
With Carson back, they can run a little bit. Obviously, they have the receivers. Russell's an MVP candidate. If they get any defense at all, Seattle becomes very dangerous in that NFC. Guys, sit tight. Meanwhile, the other big story in the NFL, the weekend isn't over yet. The COVID-19 outbreak in Baltimore leading to Ravens-Steelers being postponed again, now to Wednesday. This game, the Steelers' Week 13 game against Washington, then has been moved to Monday. The Ravens game the following week against Dallas has been moved to Tuesday. So obviously, it's all a lot of moving pieces. Here's the Steelers' Zach Banner.
At some point, there has to be a decision made that we're going to play this game. We just don't understand how the whole Denver thing. Like, I understand, there's been people getting tested every single day. That probably is the only rational reason. But, Denver just played without any quarterback. You know what I mean? They just brought their guy up off a P squad. So I thought we have extended rosters for a reason, but that's just me.
All right, so that suggests it's not quite as clear as we might have thought, the difference between what happened in Denver and what's happening in Baltimore, and that's why Dan Graziano can explain it to us. Go ahead, Dan.
In Baltimore, they had a team-wide outbreak. They've had at least one positive test each of the last 9 days. There are 21 people on the COVID-19 list. They need to get the thing under control before they can decide it's safe for the Ravens to assemble and play a game. That's different from what happened in Denver, where one guy tested positive and the contact tracing revealed that 3 of his high-risk close contacts had to be taken off the field for 5 days as a precaution required by the COVID protocols. They just all happened to be quarterbacks. There's a feeling out there that Denver was punished for not following protocols and the Ravens weren't. Denver was not punished. It just so happened that the timing of the situation and the fact that they were all quarterbacks resulted in them all having to miss the game.
And so as of now, this game is scheduled to be played tomorrow, 3:40 in the afternoon, because NBC is committed to showing the lighting of the tree ceremony tomorrow night in prime time. Meanwhile, the game has to be played for a number of reasons. One of them is it means a lot. The Ravens are currently on the fringes of the playoff picture. A loss would put them in very precarious position with 5 games remaining. But more football as we go. But how about this huge night of college basketball is coming up? The State Farm Champions Classic. We've got Kansas and Kentucky squaring off. Both teams starting out 1-1. Kentucky's never been under 500 through 3 games under Coach Cal. And then the legendary coaches meet up, Duke and Michigan State. That means Coach K against Tom Izzo, and it is as good as it gets when we see those two together. And it is my pleasure to welcome the Hall of Famer Tom Izzo live with us here on Get Up. And Coach, it is great to see you, and it is great to see you hopefully feeling well. You announced in November that you had tested positive. I know I speak for everyone when I say we hope that you are feeling good and that there are no issues.
Well, I appreciate it, Greeny, and it's great to see you. And I am feeling much, much better. It was a no joke couple of weeks. It wasn't real bad, but I hope everybody takes it a little more seriously than I think our country has. At the same time, I'm feeling good, ready to go, and what a great night for basketball. It's this Champions Tournament has been really special for the last 10 years, and you look at the ranked teams, and I think it'll be again this year.
Absolutely. So, look, you've been around a really long time. How would you describe what this season is about, considering all of the circumstances? What is it about this year?
Well, as I told my players back in September, it's going to be about survival as we're learning in the NFL. And, the NBA kind of helped us as far as learning how to sacrifice. And I think that's what we all have to do this year. It's not the norm. It's going to be different. You guys have a different situation there. We have a different situation. If you want to play the game, you got to adhere to the protocol. And I think he who handles the protocol the best. And like us, we're talking about playing more guys because we're preparing for losing a guy or two down the road. It's just the nature of the beast this year, and yet it can be done if everybody works together.
When the season tipped off last week, I had Seth Greenberg here, and he said to me, this year, Greeny, is all about experience. And I would assume that is true for both coaches and players. How does that work for you and your team?
Well, you're right, and everybody's in the same boat. I mean, it's not like I have an advantage over Duke or they have an advantage over us. Everybody's got the same issues, the same problems. If you have more experienced players, does it help you a little bit? Maybe, but I don't think anybody's been through this. I've sure never been through it as a coach. You've never been through it in TV. This is something new for us all. So I think we handle it together. I think personally, it's brought our team a little closer because we have nowhere to go or nothing to do. So everybody spent a little more time together, and I think it could help your camaraderie in a funny sort of way.
Kind of like that way of looking at it. And so you face Coach K tonight. I can't count the number of times we have seen the two of you go head-to-head. What does that rivalry mean to you?
Well, it's not as good a rivalry yet because of the number of times we've gone head-to-head. He's gotten the best of more of them, and deservedly so. But, I think we got two good programs. There's no question they're good again this year. They're always going to be good as long as he's there, just because of the nature of the beast. They've done an unbelievable job with their program, but I think we have too. And we've got a good team this year. I'm not sure any of us know, Greeny, exactly where our teams are. Not only do you have to evaluate your team, but you got to wonder that the teams you play, did somebody have COVID? Did they have a stoppage? There's going to be, the sample size is going to have to take 8 or 10 games for any of us to get a good clue where we are. But again, it's the same for everybody. So we're ready to play the game. It's going to be a great night of basketball.
Coach, it is